元ドジャースのレジェンド投手で現在解説者を務めるハーシュハイザー氏が LA のラジオ局に出演しました。ハーシュハイザー氏は大谷の投手専念についての意見と、また佐々木投手についても語っています。非常に興味深い内容ですので訳しました。
His host out at Legends Attic. We've known Oral on the program for a very long time. Oral Hershiser joining the DeMarco and Trav afternoon show. How are you, Oral?
Good. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Good. Happy Wednesday. We're hoping the Lakers pull one out and get this series over with. You're a Laker fan, right?
Yeah. What time does that game start?
7.
7.
7? Okay. I'm not going to be on a plane, but I'll be out to dinner with Jaime Hareen tonight. So I will have to check in on that.
Well, hold a good thought. Okay, well, you're a great person to ask. I mean, so Shohei pitched last night, and I think the biggest thing that we've been talking about is he's not hitting. I think it's the coolest thing in the world when you give him the day off from hitting so he can focus on pitching. What say you?
They've done that twice now, once on the road, once at home. Once they won, once they lost. I think there's always going to be a little bit of pressure as far as what Shohei would want to do, and the fact that Shohei, they didn't get any runs when he was pitched so well, and they've pitched well the last 2 games. So I would think that he's going to probably march in the office and say, "You sure you don't need my bat in there on the day when I pitch? Because I sure would like to support myself." I hit from the 9 hole. He'd probably hit from leadoff, or maybe the compromise is to hit down in the order a little bit more. But I would think that that's still an open topic, and I would think that they're experimenting with it and seeing how he feels, what results they get. But if he wants to be the greatest statistical baseball player ever, it really bodes well for him to do both on the nights that he pitches. If he wants to completely say, you know what, the regular season is the regular season, and we're going to be a playoff team probably no matter what, and we need to save energy for that time, then there might be times when, Dave Roberts and he and Mark Pryor and Andrew Friedman, when they decide, like, okay, maybe don't miss 30 games of at-bats, but maybe miss 15 games of at-bats. I don't know. I'm brainstorming with you right along, but I'm just trying to do it from somebody who knows, I've lived in the locker room. I've pitched. I've done my thing. So I'm giving you a little bit of expertise, but I'm also guessing.
No, that's why I asked.
Yeah. Or how different did you feel physically relative to let's say where we are right now in the calendar, basically the beginning of May, and then at say the middle of September when the season's wrapping up, but you're also gearing up for the most important part of the schedule.
Yeah. So there is a thing called pitcher's body. When you do dynamic rotation between your hips and your shoulders down a hill, land on one leg, leave one leg, land on one leg, it is torquing your body different than it does as a hitter when you're doing it on level ground. It's doing it completely different when you're doing it for 100 pitches competitively, plus the warm-up pitches in between, plus the warm-ups before the game. So as far as number of reps, compared to taking BP, doing a little soft toss, doing a little of tee work, getting ready, and now you're ready to go. And then you'd only do that once every 3 innings or so. For him leading off, he'd probably do it, once every 2.5 innings, every 2 innings. So it's a different torque, it's a different pressure, and your body does feel, it can feel bad, it can feel stiff, but he does an amazing job off the field as far as recovery. I think the technology and the modalities nowadays are so much better than they were in my day. So I can't tell you exactly how he feels or how much wear and tear there is or how much, pain and suffering or spasm. But there definitely is wear and tear, and it's definitely at a high level.
Oral, I could be so far off on this. Feel free to call me crazy, but He's been
That's easy, Travis.
I figured. I you notice how I left you a little pause to fill that in right there, right? That's me being a professional.
Very well done.
I left you a little
Johnny
room.
Carson, Ed McMahon, very nice. Good job.
Thank you. He's given up basically a run and a half the entire season. Am I crazy to think that he has not really pitched as well as he possibly can? Is that a crazy take?
I don't think it's a crazy take. I think that we've seen the velocity tick up. We've seen the use of the curveball and the splitter tick up. I think it's completely because we're farther a year removed from coming back from Tommy John surgery. But when you come back from a surgery, whether it's elbow, shoulder, or some other place, the caliber of your bullets change every outing for about a year. Then all of a sudden, the caliber of your bullets and the way you feel and the way your arm reacts to every time you cock it, it feels about the same. And when it starts feeling the same in every practice session and every time you play catch and every time you take the mound competitively, your precision goes up, your spin rates probably go up, your accuracy as far as like what pitch you can throw in certain tough counts, like a 1-0, a 2-1, a 3-1, a 3-2 with second and third one out. And all of a sudden you just get this confidence like, I'm not worried about how the arm's going to feel or how this one's going to come out. I know what it's going to do. So, yeah, I still think there's more in there. And because we are in the first healthy off season, year away from or so away from the Tommy John surgery, and also out there competing and continuing to find the range on those great pitches.
Oral Hershiser joining us here on the DeMarco and Travis afternoon show. And Oral, our boss, Greg Berman, is crashing the party today, and he has a question
We're
for you.
allowing him to ask you a question.
well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And what's going
Are your
on?
guys' contracts up, or are you the boss is okay with that?
Why'd you ask?
They're fine right now. We don't have to worry about them. But something I've noticed with Shohei is his facial expressions are just crazy. He's constantly showing you how he feels, and typically a star to his caliber at his level stays very solid in their facial expressions. Do you notice that? And do you have ever asked him about that or anything? Why you see that from him?
I would say, I see consistent facial expressions up at the plate, other than if he tweaks something like his wrist or makes a swing and all of a sudden fouls it off his foot or something. But on the mound, I think you are seeing more expressions. I think you're seeing more, wearing his emotions on his sleeve, and their sleeves aren't rolled up anymore. They're more, laid down. I think it's the confidence in the body and the arm and the health. I think it'd be unbelievable. I would think in the back of Shohei's mind, he wants to not only win a Cy Young, but the same year win the MVP. And that would be the greatest of greatest accomplishments. And I wouldn't put it past him. The way he goes about the talent he has, the way he goes about it, what he's already accomplished, that's a box that he's trying to check.
That would be unbelievable. You would be the best athlete, in my opinion, if you can do that, MVP and Cy Young, because that's impossible. Speaking of that, the pressure of expectation. So I wonder your thoughts on Roki Sasaki and his improvement.
I think they continue to try and make improvements, and he's developing at the big league level. We're fortunate to be an organization that can have somebody with his talent develop at the big league level. He's a special talent, and that's why they signed him, and that's why they went after him and got him. But in the midst of that, there are special talents that have to learn to be more refined. He's starting to refine himself as far as throwing more strikes, as far as landing his split finger, as far as adjusting the grip on the split finger. Yamamoto made those adjustments too when he came over with the terrible outing in Korea, and then started to make adjustments and get better. I think all of them do. I think back to Walker Buehler when I was in uniform in spring training and was assigned by Rick Honeycutt to be Walker's kind of mentor. I remember conversations early on, and I remember conversations a year later, and I remember conversations 2 years later, and then I remember conversations right before he's making the last outs in the World Series, and he's spreading his arms like, "Are you pleased now?" or whatever that saying is.
Are you entertained?
Yeah.
Are you entertained? Well, we're more than entertained, Walker. You're the world champion, so we're very entertained at the same time you're asking us. But yeah, I think there's so much growth, and I think with Sasaki, not only is the growth going to be physical, but I think it really is going to be mental, where the league says that's not good enough. And the individual who was able to overpower any league, any batter he was ever in, learns that, oh my God, the league is telling me the truth. And that takes a little bit longer with guys with elite ability, because they have never really been confronted with failure or even a glimmer of failure where, you mean that's not the right pitch? You mean that one that they used to swing at all the time is a ball now, and these guys can take it? So that information is going into somebody who is super confident, super talented, and has a super unbelievable resume. And it takes a little longer for that message from the league to say, you're going to have to be a little better.
Oral